No One Left Behind is more than a standard we live up to.
Mhm.
It is a way of life. It is part of our mission. If you or someone you know finds themselves struggling with their mental health, please contact the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by dialing 988 on your mobile phone or text 838-255 to speak or chat with a qualified counselor. Boots!
Hey, Hitch, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, but is it May yet?
Almost. Well, not really, but we're getting closer, everyone. Welcome home, and thanks for tuning in to the Run for the Wall podcast.
That's right. The Run for the Wall podcast is all about supporting the Run for the Wall mission and talking about why we ride, who we ride for, and how you can get involved in supporting our veterans through Run for the Wall. And today, on episode number 2, officially, we have a very special guest joining us. Run for the Wall's very own Gunny Gregory. Thank you so much for being here and joining us. I'm so excited to sit and chat with you.
Well, thank you for inviting me. This is a really cool way to start a great week.
And if you all really don't know who Gunny is, hey, you are in for a treat. But as we start every episode, or we'll start every episode of the podcast, we're going to do a bio in our segment called Why We Ride. Boots.
Yes, so let me share my screen real quick so we can do this. So today we are going to remember Dan Bullock. Dan Bullock was born on December 21st, 1953 in Goldsboro, North Carolina. When he was just 14 years old, Bullock walked into a U.S. Marine Corps recruitment station. He falsified the date on his birth certificate to read December 21, 1949, so he could pass as 18 years old. Incidentally, Dan is the youngest casualty of the Vietnam conflict. On June 7th, 1969, Bullock was killed by small arms fire while on night watch on An Hoa combat base. He was 15 years old at the time and had been in the country nearly 1 month. He was the youngest American service member to be killed in the Vietnam War. Bullock's father had said his son had hopes to become a pilot or a firefighter. While he insisted his son get an education, Bullock stated that signing up was the quickest way for him to get an education. Bullock is buried in his hometown of Goldsboro, North Carolina. In 2003, a portion of Lee Avenue in Brooklyn was renamed for him, a highway historical marker commemorating his service and sacrifice was unveiled in Goldsboro in 2017. His name is inscribed on panel 23, line 96 of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall in Washington, D.C. Dan Bullock, thank you for your service from a grateful country. We remember.
Thanks, Boots. All right, so moving.
Can I just say something
Absolutely,
here?
Gunny.
Absolutely.
One of our riders, who is now passed, a guy named Jack Lucas, Medal of Honor recipient, World War II. He was 15 when he did the action that was later to receive the medal.
Wow.
So it's going to bring up 15-year-olds are not uncommon in our military.
Wow.
Yeah. And Jack rode with Run for the Wall when he was able.
That's fantastic. These guys are heroes. They really are true American heroes. Their bravery, their dedication, and their sacrifice, it's just amazing to me.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Okay, well, let's move on to a little bit of Run for the Wall news and events.
That's right. Countdown to registration.
Yes. Registration's going to be open and live on September 11th. That's just in a couple of days from the date of this recording. By the time you see this, I think registration will be open. But remember, registration, we always open it on September 11th at 8:46 a.m. Eastern Time to commemorate what happened on 9/11.
That's right. And countdown to the run, of course, will begin May 14th, 2025.
Right. We kind of switched up a little bit here, Hitch, but I'll take it anyways.
Heck.
Our online store for buying Run for the Wall merchandise is now open. So get on over to RFTW.us and check out some of the stuff that's on sale. Remember that the sales of merchandise is how we are able to do Run for the Wall every year. And they've got some really cool stuff for sale.
That's right. And if you remember from the first episode, Boots shared the original 1989 print of the shirt. Well, Gunny is the one who gave Boots the shirt to be able to make them for us. And now that the store is open, you can log in and order your shirt. I already ordered mine. So order as many as you like. And this, and I ordered my shirt. We're good to go. So yeah, that's on the store.
So let me talk a little bit about upcoming events. So, I'm looking at the event calendar right now on the website, and you can see it yourself for all our listeners if you go to rftw.us and you drop down the Connect menu, and then you can go to the events calendar, and you can see that right now we have the Colorado breakfast listed. And that happens, looks like about every Wednesday. And that is at 7:30 a.m. And then also there is the Texas reunion coming up. I'm looking to find that.
September 26th through 29th.
There you go. Thanks, Hitch.
You're welcome.
So, and you can check that out. Also, that is on Facebook. We don't have a ton of information on that on the website right now. The best information we've got is on, oh, there it is. It is on the website. Aha. It's in Kerrville, Texas. So mark your calendar for that, and you can see that. It's on our event calendar, and there's also more information on Facebook. So check that out, everyone.
And our guest, Gunny Gregory, will also be in attendance. We were chatting a little bit about that prior to starting the recording. And you said your bike is already there, right? So you're just fly in and join up with them. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So are you all ready to get to know Gunny Gregory better and how Run for the Wall got started? Because I know I am.
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right. So, Gunny, we have questions that we are going to ask you so that we can learn just more about you, more about what your vision initially was for Run for the Wall and your experiences. Okay. Is that all right?
Okay.
All right. So, generally, we would ask, how were you introduced to Run for the Wall? But I mean,
I think on this one is, how is Run for the Wall introduced to me?
yeah. How were
tell
you
us the
able
story.
to bring it to all of us?
I'll try to keep it short, but it's with a run that's been going on 35 years and takes 10 days to cross country. Short's not something we do very well. However, I was involved in the very last battle of the Vietnam War, the Marquez Rescue. And during that rescue, my battalion, 2nd Battalion 9th Marines, landed on an island, Koh Tang Island in Cambodia, to rescue the crew of the SS Marquez. Unfortunately, that operation was a total cluster, and we lost 41 Americans, but we rescued 39 civilians off that ship. In the heat of battle, the fog of battle, whatever you want to call it. First of all, I must say I did not land on the island personally. I was in charge of scout snipers, what we now call state platoon. And my units, my guys were pulled back because our assets, Air Force helicopters, we were losing too many, and they were afraid we'd get too many Marines on the island and wouldn't have the assets to pull them out. So I personally did not land on the island. I was sitting in a hangar in a Thailand air base. But 3 Marines, a machine gun team, was stood on the flank for final pullout. And unfortunately, in the fog of war and the darkness and all that goes with, the last helicopter of approximately 40, 50 Marines in a Jolly Green, which is so overloaded. Those 3 Marines were left behind, alive on the island. And it always has been something that has bothered myself personally, but all the men in my unit. And as I got towards retirement, I got a letter from a guy named Ray Manzo about something called Rolling Thunder. And he says, we're going to ride around Washington, D.C. Ray Manzo founded Rolling Thunder. He was a Marine Vietnam veteran, as I was. I served in Vietnam in 1969 with I Company, 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines. He says, we're going to do this thing. I had gone to a reunion in L.A. for Vietnam veterans and saw the miniature wall, but I wanted to go to the wall in D.C. I'm a member of the Vietnam Veterans of America, and my group was very instrumental in helping get that wall built with Jan Scruggs. Unfortunately, I didn't see how I could do that while I was still active duty. It's a long ride from San Diego, where I live. But as I came closer to retirement, the Marine Corps sent me to school in Indiana, and I was able to ride across country and back, looking at a route that I could bring bikers with me. And within a year, I decided we were going to do this thing from San Diego to Washington. There was a family member, a POW family member, Marion Shelton, whose husband was the last POW of Vietnam officially. And she lived near me, and she and I constantly were discussing live POWs left behind. The U.S. government said there were none, but if you remember right, Bobby Garwood, a Marine, left Vietnam in 1979. Officially, 1973, all POWs had been released. Here it is, 6 years later, American Marine came home. So obviously people were not telling the truth about our POWs. So Run for the Wall was started. I had some help, some partners. I led the pack across country, having no idea if all the people who promised to do things would do what they said they would do, feed us, fuel, that kind of thing. Everybody did everything they said they were going to do, plus. We had airplanes with banners saying Run for the Wall across Kansas. We had Kansas, the original route went pretty much Interstate 70. It went the first day in Vegas, then Denver, then across Interstate 70 and on. We had tolls paid for us on the Kansas Turnpike, which is still going on today. Our special lane for 150 motorcycles. We went across the U.S., the heartland, the grassroots, and everywhere we went, people started coming out and cheering us on. We only had a handful that left Las Vegas. About 150 left San Diego, maybe 15, 20 left Las Vegas. But by the time we crossed the Mississippi, we had 150, 200 riders. And then we got into Kentucky, and we were told that if we went into West Virginia, we would have to pay a toll at every toll booth. I think there's 5 of them. Every single biker would pay individual toll, which is like 50 cents. Not a lot of money, but imagine 150 bikes in rain stopping at a toll booth. And when it rains and that oil slick gets real nasty. So I decided, along with Gary Wetzel, who was wearing his Medal of Honor, I believe, that we would skip the toll booth and go down this free road, what they call the Freedom Trail. And that became, how we ended up in Rennell, West Virginia. And I get pretty emotional. This is an unbelievable community. Very patriotic. Chief of Police was a former Vietnam vet, and he jumped off the hill in front of me in a patrol car and led us into town. And for Run for the Wall, it is one of the very important stops. So we eventually got into D.C. in pouring rain, but we made it. No accidents, no one, everyone very excited about it. And then we joined Rolling Thunder, the second Rolling Thunder, the first Run for the Wall. And we led the pack in across DC with Ray Manzo and Gary Wetzel and I up front. That was pretty cool.
That's a phenomenal.
That's the short version.
But Gunny, that is a phenomenal origin story, and just to hear what it took for you to be able to make it to the Vietnam Memorial for the first time. Because coming from me, I was born and raised in DC. I went to that wall every weekend with my dad riding bikes. We would take off, ride bikes downtown. And so
Wow.
yes. So that was my backyard. And
Okay.
for me, it was a completely different experience flying out to California because I shipped my bike there and rode back. I didn't ride both ways. But that first time in being immersed in like Run for the Wall and really learning the mission and then going to the wall. It's incredible.
Yeah. Backstory, I was stationed in Henderson Hall.
Really?
Right after Vietnam. Henderson Hall, of course, is in Arlington.
Mm-hmm.
I was an MP on the gates there and at the Pentagon. And Memorial Day 1970, when the so-called students were rioting, we Marines were the ones who were in uniform defending everything from statues to American University to the Pentagon.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's reversal. I'm the guy on a motorcycle demonstrated against the government. So a peaceful demonstration, which is always the key to any demonstration, which is our rights as American citizens. But I was there in 1970 in Memorial Day riots. Not pretty.
Wow. Gunny, do you remember how many times you've done Run for the Wall in these 35 years? It's not all of them?
I led the pack. No, I led the pack 3 years in a row, 89, 90, 91. And then frankly, I didn't have any resources left.
Okay.
Those who've never done a leadership position and like something like Run for the Wall may not appreciate what it takes to do this type of a run. The leaderships today, right now, are planning on a run that's not going to happen for 9 months.
Mhm.
And I was on the phone the other day talking to the new Southern Rock guy, and he was said, "Sorry, Johnny, got another call. This thing is not just something that like a Harley owners group. We're going to go for a little benefit here for the Sunday afternoon. This is a full blown 10 days on the road, which is easiest part, frankly, as a leader. It's getting there.
Mhm.
So for me, I got burned out. Literally passed the torch on to a couple other Vietnam vets, and they kept it up, and then I backed out. But in 1999, I rode across country on a Harley thing, and one of the guys with me started talking about Run for the Wall. And he says, "You know about this run? You really should come with me." And I was living in South Carolina. I said, "Really? This run?" He says, "Oh, yeah, you got to come with me." So in 1999, I got back into it again. And since that time, if I wasn't able to go all the way, I was at least able to do part of it.
Okay.
And when I met my wife in 2000, I told her about it. And our first major date was riding Route 66. And after that, we've been pretty much doing Run for the Wall every year. But again, if not all the way, at least part of it.
So Gunny, when he told you like, "Oh, you have to do this run, you have to do this thing," did you tell him that you already knew what it was, or did you just go along?
Well, at first, I kind of just sat there. It's kind of cool to listen to somebody tell you something that's your baby, We literally met in the harbor of Savannah, Georgia, because they had the Confederate guns at Fort Pulaski firing cannon. And he and I were both down on the deck covering our heads. He was Army, I'm Marine.
Mhm.
And we looked at each other and realized we were both Vietnam vets.
Mhm.
And that's how we got to know each other. And then as we got to, became more personal, I said, "Look, if we're going to this crossing, I want you to come to my house. I have something to show you." And I had photo albums of the Run for the Wall and all the stuff we did. And he really didn't believe me at first. He said, "No, I met that guy who started Running for the Wall. It's not you." I go, yeah, it is, and I'll show you. So, yeah.
Be like,
And
yes,
then
you
the
have
run
met
for
him,
the
and
wall
he is
in
me.
1999 was kind of similar to what we do now. Military operation, platoons, 400 riders, completely different than what we did in 1989.
Now,
Right.
have you done all the routes?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
What's your
All the
favorite?
way in bits and pieces. I do the Gunny route. I start here, end up there. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, I
my
know.
goodness.
I noticed that I can't remember what year it was, but you took off, I think, with the southern route, and then somewhere halfway across the country, you showed up on the central route, and then you were gone again. And then we got into DC, and you said you hooked up with the midway route, and I was like, I don't know how he's doing this.
Okay, so
Well, it was easier then when Midway left on the same day, so you could kind of zig and zag. Yeah.
Right.
Nice thing about the interstate system, you can do 500 miles a day without too much worry. Yeah.
Yep.
So you
Now,
all have
Gunny,
heard it
you
first,
also-
though. Are we still one mission 4 routes, or is that 5 routes now? One mission 5 routes.
No.
Since he said the Gunny route.
One
Well,
mission.
the Gunny route is whatever I make it. Now, I can tell you 2 years ago, there was a group who did the original Run for the Wall from San Diego to Los Angeles, across the Rockies into Denver. And they found out what I found out. The Rockies in May are not really good riding weather. We actually hit snow and ice when we crossed the Rockies. And I have a great photo of all of us at a rest stop on the side of the road. And we're all bundled up with snow blowing in our face. And this guy jumped out of his car in shorts and flip-flops and joined us. Never knew he was there until the photo came out. Somebody says, you know this guy? I go, not a clue.
Wow.
No.
Tan, go ahead.
Okay, so I was just going to say, Gunny, 35 years, we're coming up on, this is going to be the 35th Run for the Wall in 2025.
Yep.
And I know that you were just honored by the Sturgis Motorcycle Hall of Fame. Can you just talk about that just for a moment and tell us about it?
Oh, dear. I was in total shock that I've not only been put in for it, but I was actually accepted. And I received a medal from the Hall of Fame. And guys who receive medals in the military say the same thing I'm going to say. And it sounds kind of trite, but the reality is it's not just my medal. It's everybody's medal for Run for the Wall. Because literally, I gave up on it after 3 years, and then other people picked it up. And one thing I have to say about Run for the Wall and its people is we come from all over the world, literally. We have leadership that's Australian, and last year we had 25 Canadians rode with us who took over leadership positions. And we got them from Europe. I was with a bunch of Dutch Marines one year.
Yeah.
And I'm going, it's amazing that people in Europe look at what we do and they get our wall better than a lot of Americans. Europe, I was in Amsterdam last year, and I went to the memorial for the Canadians. They literally, when they liberated Amsterdam, the Canadian Army came in and had a firefight with the Nazis right in the middle of Amsterdam, and there's a big memorial there. Obviously, the Canadians won. But I don't think, it's amazing to me that even in the rider community that we aren't getting the word out, which is I'm really hoping this podcast will do that. I was in Colorado, 3 weeks ago for the POW MIA recognition ride to Cripple Creek.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people that were Run for the Wallers, but people would stop and ask me, what's that on your vest? What's that? What's the wall? One of them actually asked me if it was the wall having to deal with Germany. The wall that No. We educated them. Let's do it that way. So
No, fun fact.
Yeah, that's
I
why
learned about the run in Colorado.
there you go.
Yep.
Wait, have you been to the POW recognition ride by any chance?
I have not.
Colorado. Oh, it's an amazing ride. They've been doing it for 36 years. So they're older than we are.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, and the guy who puts it on owns a beautiful motorcycle museum right downtown Colorado Springs that for the first time I got to visit when I was there 3-4 weeks ago.
Now, what time of year is that ride?
3 weeks ago, so it's
Okay.
yeah.
All right. We'll have to get that on the calendar.
Yeah. And I think we're going to support them A Run for the Wall will probably give them some support for next year.
Okay.
Really great. About 5 to 10,000 riders riding to Cripple Creek, which is just a narrow through the tunnel road. But what a cool town Cripple Creek is, with a wonderful Veterans Memorial there.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So Gunny, we have a couple more questions for you. Just, we have these standard questions, and some of them may not fit or whatever, but I did want to ask, every year you come out, how do you prepare yourself emotionally, physically to come do another 10-day cross-country motorcycle ride with Run for the Wall?
So I got to add to the answer I gave you from the other one. I was amazed, shocked, whatever, at how many Run for the Wallers showed up for my induction at the Hall of Fame. First of all, the Hall of Fame up to this point has been mostly about the motorcycle industry, as in builders, Harley people. But there's a group out there called the Hamsters, which are kind of high-end guys. The Weasels, those in California and know what I'm talking about. These are high-end riders, as in custom-built stuff. And we outshone them, we out-yelled them, and they were very, very impressed. And Bill Davison, Willie G's son, and his wife were crying with me. So they now know what Run for the Wall is. All right, to answer your question, first of all, for me, it's not a 10-day ride across country. I have to get to California.
Right.
As most other riders have to. So I think the average rider, no matter where you leave from and get back home, is going to have to do around 7,000 miles, give or take. Now, those guys in Alaska and Canada might do a few more miles than that. Now, I know the Alaskan guys like to cheat and come down the ferry because it is a little cold in May in Alaska. But I do know last year the Canadian guys that left Calgary, it was about 30 degrees Fahrenheit and blowing snow in their face really bad. So you got to be hardcore. And then they got down to California and thought it was like summertime, So, yeah, the 10-day ride, to prepare myself, I can't say I do anything in particular because all year you're preparing yourself. I mean, as we're doing right now, psychologically, physically, I'm 74 years old. My body's getting beat up, but I don't go out and start doing push-ups or any of that stuff. And, the thing about hydrate a week before the run, come on, guys. I can hydrate maybe the day before, but I'm pretty much just riding my bike across country. I bought my first Harley in 75, and I've crossed country multiple times. And I've traveled Canada and Mexico. I just do it. Now, like I said, on the Gunny ride, if I get tired, I can pull over and, take a nap, or I like to show up early at one of these places where we're meeting folks. My wife and I love going in early to a VFW where they've been preparing for us for 3 days and see the folks that we knew the year before. Those are the personalities that you meet. And I had the opportunity to do that because I might travel a little bit faster than what the pack rides, and I go ahead about 10 minutes. So I have extra time and able to chill out, have some water, have a meal, and watch the riders come in. I go to refuel, and I might get my refuel a little quicker than everybody else. So I take advantage of the Gunny route. Let's put it that way. And now people want to join me. I go, no, not one or two people after that because you can't keep up with me. So don't even cry. I'm a road guard in my own mind. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, come on.
You are cracking me up. He said, you heard that from Gunny himself. Don't ask because you cannot keep up. Okay.
I love passing the pack. Unfortunately, the pack is so long now, no matter which route it is, but say Central, 5 miles stretch down the highway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You don't have a very, very long stretch in the interstate. It's hard because with traffic, it's hard to pass them. But I love passing the whole pack and looking at everybody, taking photos, have the road guard looking at me, getting on the radio, say, move over, Gunny's coming through. It's kind of fun,
All right, Gunny, You've been on all the routes. So far, Boots and I have only done Central, but you've been on all the routes. Can you please share with us your favorite stop and or experience?
Well, yes and no. I don't want to say something and, you're good. Oh, you're not good. You're that. But I will say Renell, which is my baby in a way, okay, is one of those stops. Okay. But that being said, on every route, there are schools or VA hospitals or, a particular lunch stop or a meal or whatever, where for some reason or another, it's just a little bit special. Every route has a special place in my heart. Southern route has memorials I absolutely love. Central route at the Kentucky Vietnam Veteran Memorial. I mean, the first time I saw that, and I was just there last month. Again, I'm in awe. How someone figures this stuff out, how to highlight the names of those
That's the one with
men
the
killed on.
sundial?
Yes, with the sundial. Yeah. They call it
Incredible.
something fancy, but it's a sundial. Yeah. I mean, the memorials, and then good grief. Midway route gets to park on an Air Force runway with F-15 screaming over. Really? I mean, there are people trying to do what we do, but nobody can do that. The Marine Corps Museum obviously is a favorite stop of mine when I happen to be over that way. I mean, always interesting. Ontario, and honestly, having all of us, all the family, all together, I always check in early. But having 2,000, 2,500 patriots who happen to ride motorcycles in one place at one time, and it overwhelms some of these little communities. But I can't be the person that I am and say I like this one better than that one or that one better than that. But I will just say Renell from the very first run, is obviously at the top of my list.
And for those who are listening, maybe don't know too much about Run for the Wall, Raynell is an elementary school that we stop at on the Central Route every year. And when Run for the Wall pulls up, this whole town comes to a screeching halt. Everybody comes out, and we go to the elementary school there at Raynell, and the children are all out there with autograph books, and they treat us like rock stars. And they ask for our autographs. We hand out stickers and pens and pencils, anything but candy, just to show the kids that we appreciate them. They get to appreciate veterans. And there's a lesson there about patriotism, about sacrifice, about the fact that freedom is not free.
Right.
It's really an incredible experience. And then we go and we eat. They feed us in the school cafeteria. And I gotta give a shout out to the woman who makes the banana pudding every year. And that brings us to the next question. I mean, that's one of my memorable experiences. But Gunny,
let me just give you one experience in mine recently in Renell.
Yeah,
I was, as you know, we now have a new school. The old school, the gym is where in the day, none of us stayed in hotels, by the way. This hotel stuff is new for these new, the old Corps, we slept on the ground in tents, okay? And a lot of people slept in the gymnasium using the boys' locker room for showers and bathroom. But I was in there eating lunch, as you said, and somebody came running looking for me. Gunny, there's a woman out here who needs to find you. And my wife was looking at me and said, there's a woman here in Renell who needs to find you. Who is this person? Long story short, this lady was 8 years old on the second Run for the Wall, where we were able to spend a lot more time. And in those days, we put kids on motorcycles and rode them around town. Can't do that today.
no,
All right. She and her cousin stood in line for an hour to get a motorcycle ride. And there's a newspaper clipping of her on my motorcycle. And she became, like the queen of the school being on a bike with this, Vietnam vet. She wanted to introduce me to her two children who are now going to school there. So we are now talking to the children and perhaps grandchildren of the kids we talked to 35 years ago. I've had a lady gave me her baby and wanted me to talk to the kid like a year old, and that was her granddaughter from way back. So you just don't know. Right now, West Virginia, it's a coal mining town, very poor, but when we come through, they're very rich.
Absolutely.
They're very rich in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I had to interject that.
No, that's good. That's why we're here.
Okay. So you were asking about food?
Well, that's one of our questions. What's the best meal on Run for the Wall you've had, or memorable experience?
Yeah, you can't say the best.
I know.
And that or pudding is good, but so are those ribs in Texas. So is the steak that we have in Texas, in Colorado City. I forgot the name of that church in Amarillo. Woo, they put some ribs on, and the kids put on a great program there. That Shepherd's Church up there. The barbecue that they put on for us in Tennessee. The fried chicken. Now, you'll love this. They do this big fried chicken meal in Arkansas at this big church. And I had a couple of ladies kind of cornered, and I am so thanking them for the fried chicken. I said, I don't know how you cook this kind of fried chicken. She goes, honey, that's churches. We buy that 2 days before, and they bring over a truckload of fried chicken. I'm eating church's fried chicken in a church in Arkansas. This is kind of this is cool. But I have to throw in one more stop, Cookeville, Tennessee.
Okay.
Cookeville has really opened up its town, and I was sitting there with Aaron. Gosh, can't think of the country starter's name now, but him and his wife were over there singing for us in one stop. He did a bunch of patriotic songs. But anyway, I'll throw in Cookeville because that town obviously is another one of those communities that you just look so much forward to and to being there. And they do a great meal. By the way, we ride to eat. I think y'all know.
Hey, food's a big part of the run.
I was taking notes when you talked about ribs. I said, okay, Southern route. You hear that?
The first year, we weren't really into people donating food yet. So a guy threw a turtle in the back of my pickup truck and says, in case you get hungry down the road. Turtle went out of the back of the pickup truck at the next stop. But whoever you are, thank you for thinking of us and your damn turtle. But, jeez. That was in Kansas.
All right. This next question, I think, is probably obvious, but what is your road name and how did you get it?
Oh, Gunny. And how did I get it? I earned it because I spent 20 years in the Marine Corps, and as a Company Gunny, and those who aren't familiar with the infantry, Company Gunny is like the second senior enlisted in the company. First sergeant be administrative, but the Gunny is the one that gets things done in the Marine Corps. Most everyone knows who Arlie Henry is. I think he stole my persona personally. That should have been my job. Really get paid to shoot weapons and have fun. Shoot watermelons? Come on. And then, of course, there's Jethro on NCIS. Everybody knows what a Gunny is now. But in the Marine Corps, I think it's a very special rank. And since I was still officially in the Marine Corps as a drill instructor when I started Run for the Wall, people were already calling me Gunny because that's what I was. A Gunny means gunnery sergeant in the Marine Corps.
Great.
And I was still a drill instructor when Run for the Wall started. I just had to retire, and then 2 months later, we did the ride. But remember, a ride starts a year, 2 years before you actually get the event done.
That's for sure. Okay, so next question. What are you currently riding on Run for the Wall?
Oh, right now?
Yeah.
I got a gray Limited FLHTK. She's a 2014 and does everything I want her to do. Got about 140,000 miles on her right now. Every time I turn her in to do an oil change in my local Harley shop, the guy just looks at my odometer and goes, what happened? You get it dirty? You need it cleaned again? I go, yeah, I just got back from another 5,000, 6,000 mile ride. It's amazing how many bugs there are out west when you're crossing, the country. And by the way, this time of year, it was all about grasshoppers and those big cicada things. Mm-hmm. hit your helmet, they about knock you off the bike. But they are nasty on a
Yeah, they're
motorcycle.
massive. Gunny, what did you
Oh, they
ride in the first run for the wall?
at a 84 wide glide. I had two Sportsters before that, and I gave up the Sportsters, realized I had to move up a little.
Mm-hmm.
And so I bought an 84 wide glide while I was in Okinawa.
Mm-hmm.
And you actually pick it up in the States, but you buy it through the military exchange system.
Oh.
And they asked me, do you want this engine, a blockhead, or you want this engine, a shovel head? And I go, I don't know what a blockhead is. I don't know how to work on it. It was one of the dumbest mistakes I ever made. Shovel heads you work on. Pretty much a blockhead motor is pretty self-reliant and efficient. They also told me, oh, you bought a new motorcycle from us, therefore you're a member of Harley Owners Group. And I go, what is that? Never heard of it. I'm in Okinawa, and I got a plastic little coffee cup from them that had hog and a pin or a patch that said hog. So I'm also a plank owner in Harley Owners Group, if you will, original member. And I had no idea what it was. I just bought a motorcycle. But I've been a member of Hog ever since as well.
Beautiful. Well,
84 wide glide. You got to try one of those little wide glides. It fits you perfectly.
you think? We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Right now, I have a Victory Hammer. It was my dream bike.
So I hear,
So.
or so I saw.
All right. What advice would you have for F&Gs? People coming out.
For F&Gs?
Yeah. What advice do you have for them?
Well, I love the term F&G, of course. Yeah, funny you guys, sure. And there's a lot of questions. And the best way to get the best answers, correct answers, I might say, is using our forum and our website. I get questions asked me from time to time about silly stuff that I think is silly. Then I realize some of these people never been over 500 miles on their motorcycle on a trip or something. They definitely had not ridden in a pack for 10 days. And that's stressful. And they don't quite, I've got numerous stories of people started out in the first couple of days thinking, I can't do this. I can't do this. People don't understand when you cross California, that's where we leave from. The first day, no matter which route, is going to be desert. Yep. Now, if you're on the southern route, the second day, the third day, the fourth day, finally you get through Texas is desert, and you get out of that heat, and then you get into the mugginess of East Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, and it continues all the way into Virginia. But compared to what the Central Route is going through with the hailstorm, where the tornado chasers actually took photos, a video, the damn motorcycles going through semi-tornado winds. So be prepared, ask questions, and don't be afraid. Don't even be embarrassed. If you feel you need to tap out and adjust or do something, do it. Just tell your leader, tap it out, please tap your helmet, says, I'm okay, but I got to pull off the road. Don't push your limits and then become a casualty. Because not only you're hurting yourself, you're hurting everybody around you. I mean, even if it's just a minor incident, there's people who are involved. We have chase vehicles, and then we have the chaplains who will stop and take care of you. But always, and as you get into Run for the Wall and you get the routine, I can just remember, I would say I compare Run for the Wall the first day with Marine Corps boot camp. You're scared to death. You don't want to be the guy who falls out on the run. You don't want to be embarrassing yourself, asking stupid questions. You want to just kind of hide and see what's going on. And that's kind of what it is. Because a lot of these guys have been riding for a while, but they've never done anything like this. And they think they're pretty bad. And then they realize Run for the Wall is not just a normal ride. This is a mission, and there's a lot more to it. Psychologically, there's a lot to it. Every day, every ride, every hour is something new and different going on, and you got to concentrate. So F&Gs, I also say look at the videos. Until you see 300 bikes being refueled in a half hour, that's an amazing event right there. NASCAR would be proud. I know I am. I just sit there and watch it. And I also watch people yell at riders for doing stupid stuff. That rider would be me. I left my foot pegs down and almost hit the shin of a young lady pumping my gas. So you learn, just like in boot camp, just like in the military, how to do it the military way, which, by the way, is usually the right way to do it. We have been doing this 35 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you have a particular tip in mind for all riders?
A tip in mind. Well, obviously, listen to your leadership.
Mhm.
You know, and I notice it's an emotional event. Okay.
Yes.
One reason I cannot ride in a pack is I get very emotional. To this day, I get emotional PTSD has a funny way of making you get real emotional. Okay. And if you're riding a motorcycle 65, 70 miles an hour, seconds behind someone else, and it's hot, and you're tired, and you're getting emotional, take a break. We do have counselors, we have chaplains, and I'll just say it. We are a suicide prevention organization. I know that Run for the Wall has prevented suicides and multiple times, personal events that I know personally, but also there are people who have come to me and said, wives usually, my husband's been on medication for 30 years from the VA. In 10 days, I'll Run for the Wall. He's thrown out his medications, and now he lives to help another veteran. And that's what we are, helping another veteran, especially the younger generation. Talking to a young Iraqi vet, asking him, have you ever had an RPG fired at you? And he looked at me and said, how do you know about that? And I said, same weapon systems in Vietnam, same idiots on the other side, just looking different, a different uniform. But yeah, talk to me about what it's like to have an RPG. RPGs, for those who don't know, are slow-moving rockets that you can see coming at you. But when you fire 4, 5, 6 at a time, then it gets a little scary. And of course, if they miss you, they're going someplace else. Our veteran generation, Vietnam vets, helping Iraqi Vietnam vets, and now they're 50s. They're in their 50s. And what happened, this time of year, talking about what happened in Afghanistan and what happened, in the pullout. It's just, we got to talk about it. We all have similar events, and Run for the Wall is really good at that. I love the fact that there are a lot of, the VA likes to get in these circles and everybody talks and all that stuff. We actually do that on Run for the Wall, just getting together. There's no formal thing. We just happen to get together. It might be at a bar, it might be in the parking lot. And but then you have like-minded thinking individuals standing right there with you, discussing your events in your life. And more importantly, I think, are how the spouses get together and share their experiences. And I know my wife has been kind of a mother hen with a lot of the younger wives. And then she tells me some of the stuff going on that I wouldn't even think about. So Run for the Wall is really good at bringing the family together, your family, our family, together.
Yeah, that is why we ride. It's a ride of healing and it's a ride of remembrance. So thank you very much for that, Gunny.
All right, Gunny, what are your plans for the 2025 run? Gunny route, I'm sure, because I'm just learning. This was a standard question.
Told by every route coordinator I have to ride with them. They go, well, I can't clone myself. However, I have made promises to be in Arizona in the southern route for something going on down there. I got a pretty good idea what they're up to, and then that damn central route has something going on, and I may catch up with Midway somewhere. So we'll see. I will definitely. I can say 99% sure that I will see y'all in Raynell, if not before.
Great.
All right, Gunny.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was actually our last question for you. We are going to go into tech tips with Ted or Boots. Okay, and what are we discussing this week?
Okay, so, and Gunny, I'll invite you to chime in here if you want. I was going to make mention about helmets. So first of all, on Run for the Wall, from the time you check in until we are done, helmets are mandatory. Even if we're going through a state like Arizona that doesn't require helmets, when you're on Run for the Wall, you need to be wearing a DOT approved helmet. And I know a lot of riders who like to ride without helmets. That's a personal choice. However, on Run for the Wall, we ride with helmets, and there's a variety of helmets that you can choose from. But I wanted to focus on wearing a helmet with full face protection. 3/4 helmets are fine and good, but invariably we're going to hit inclement weather, rain, sleet, hail, bugs, and having proper eye protection, having a helmet that provides that full level of protection is really going to make your ride that much better. I do know some road guards who ride with a 3/4 and sunglasses, and I can tell you from experience, when we hit the hail and the rain, these guys are suffering. And I think after last year on the Central Route, at least, the one lone rider who was riding with a 3/4, at least in my group, I think he's going to a full face helmet. We'll see. Gunny, you have anything to add on that?
Been buying helmets for some time that I can bring down my visor. But what I like now is I also have that second visor that's dark. One of the issues I have, and Run for the Wall likes to leave early in the morning, and when that sun comes up and gets you in the eyes, you cannot see. And I put on sunglasses, I bring down my other visor, the dark visor, and it's still hard to see. But I love the fact I have a double visor, and that's now become common in a lot of helmets. I am one of those advocates that says let the rider choose whether to helmet or not helmet. I was a Beta California chairman of the board for years, and we fought mandatory helmets. But I'm also a helmet user, and I think people should know one reason Run for the Wall says we must wear helmets. It's an insurance thing.
Yes.
It's not just a Run for the Wall thing, but insurance requires that you have a helmet on. Like it or not, that's just the way the world spins. But I do know that in Arizona, wearing a full-blown helmet can be very uncomfortable. And like I said, when you leave California, the Southern Route, it just never gets comfortable. And so you just have to deal with it. I try to get the lightest, best helmet I can buy for the money, but I love the double visors, one clear and one dark.
Yeah, I ride with a double visor too, and a helmet that's modular, so I can open it up and go 3/4 when we're going through town, and then I can pull that whole full face down and lock it for when we're on the interstate.
Ditto.
Yeah, good stuff there. Okay,
Oh,
so we've got a couple of comments, listener letters that came in following the teaser that we released. And so, Hitch, why don't you take that first one? And I'm actually, why don't you do the first two? And then I'm going to do that third one. Okay.
of course. All right, so Darren Morgan, 4175, really hope that you're watching this episode, and thank you for the comment that you left. This is the reason that we are doing this podcast. But Darren Morgan says, "Hey guys, great podcast. I'm just hearing about this run for the first time. Hopefully I can jump on the Southern Route in 2025. God bless." So thanks so much for that, and we really do hope to see you in Ontario or wherever you are able to start and finish your portion of the run. Our second comment is from Thumb and Thumbelina. Thumb was a FNG in 2016, and they're sending greetings all the way from New Zealand. Thank you so much for tuning in.
I know them. They're great
from
folks.
New Zealand. All right, Boots.
All right. And then we also have one from at Beverly Wright. And Beverly, Bev, says, "This is wonderful. I'm not a rider, but my son-in-law, Todd Taylor, road name FaceTime, rides every year with Steven Stryker on the back. So proud of them and why they ride. I'm happy to see this podcast. Your West Virginia family love and praise you all. Keep it going. riding for those who can't. And I just want to give a shout out to Bev, Mamaw Bev. I happen to know Bev, and Todd Taylor's one of my best friends, and a shout out to Steven Stryker, my West Virginia family. We love you. I'm looking forward to seeing you, Bev, and in Hurricane in 2025, and maybe we'll all go to dinner at the Cracker Barrel or something.
Absolutely.
So thanks for writing in. We really appreciate it.
Hey, Stryker. Those are my buddies too.
Let me tell you something about Thumb and Thumbelina.
Yeah, go for it.
I met them, and you asked about favorite stops. How cool is it that we can go in to the Navajo Nation and do a warrior dance? And that's where I met those two. And he's originally was in the South African. He was originally in the South African Army. And here he is with my arm around him doing I don't know if this is going through, doing a warrior dance with me. Anybody who took her out knows this guy. I don't even know his name. He is one mean-looking warrior. He's always painted up with the feathers and all that. And again, I mean, he looks like he could take on the Russian army. He's just one mean-looking warrior. And then at the end of the dance, he just smiles and shakes my hands and welcomes me. And, I would not want to meet you in a battle. He's just one of those guys. But that's how I met Thumb and Thumbelina.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I wanted to say, Gunny, it's been a pleasure having you on, listening to your stories. And thank you for starting Run for the Wall, for your dedication to our mission, to our veterans from all wars, and just for sharing this. This is really a treasure, and we really appreciate you coming on.
Sure. Thank you for the invite.
Right on. So
now, one more question.
Yeah.
Hitch, you know where I got my road name. Where did you get yours?
All right. So
Please say it's embarrassing.
So we actually discussed this in the first episode, but I don't mind telling this story again to you, Gunny. So we were on, it was my FNG year, and Boots was my assistant platoon leader, and we were on one leg of it, and they told us to stay tight, right? Keep it tight. So I'm right behind him,
All right.
and apparently I kept it so tight that when we made it to the next stop, people were like checking out the back of his bike, and they were like, "Is there a trailer hitch hooked up back there?" Because she was like on you, right? So it started off like trailer hitch, right? And I was like, I can't be trailer hitch. So we shortened it to hitch. Then I had a mishap coming through Topeka, Kansas, which rendered my bike inoperable. And Boots put me on the back of his bike for the remainder of the run. So I became a hitchhiker. So hitch it has a double meaning.
Yeah.
That's how
Well, those FNGs, he may not have a road name, but invariably you will screw up somewhere.
Yep.
And we will find a road name for you. And we on Run for the Wall, the B1 pilots who ride with us, who have some very strange road names, by the way, they are Air Force. They're called the Bone Men, B-O-N-E, B1, Bone Men.
Mhm.
Oh, got
And
it.
they ride with us, and they presented me a flag that they put on the, I don't know what you would call it, on an airplane, but basically the dashboard while they were bombing Taliban. And they still show up now and again out of Texas. They were all the captains when we met them. Now they're all lieutenant colonels. So
Nice.
you know how long we've been riding together.
Nice.
No. You will have a road name on Run for the Wall, like it or not.
That's for sure.
Like it or not.
Thank you. I appreciate that
I
information.
appreciate
I'll
you
use it someday.
against me,
Yeah.
I'm sure. All right,
All right, we're going to have to wrap this
Yep.
up. So I want to let everybody know, for more information on Run for the Wall, you can visit our official Run for the Wall website at rftw.us.
That's right. And keep
Hoorah.
those comments coming. We are having so much fun engaging with you all on Facebook and YouTube. Just be sure to send us your experiences on the run, any questions that you would like to hear answers to, or topics you would like us to discuss. And you can send those to pod@rftw.us. That's pod@rftw.us. Until next time, How far are we going?
All the
All
way.
the way.
That's what I'm
right.
talking about.
Thanks, Gunny.
Thank you.